Hello there, and welcome to the EDC Empire. Today, we're going to be taking a look at a fixed blade. Actually, the first fixed blade which I've ever reviewed on this channel, and it is the Knives by Nuge Wicket. The Wicket is made fully in the USA and is a really small, compact EDC fixed blade, which in my opinion is a wonderful, wonderful little backup blade. The sheath on the Wicket has a few different varieties. The version I have is the Badger Claw Outfitters sheath, or pocket sheath with the included ulti-clip. However, there's also Kydex and drop leg sheaths, which you can also get. And different drops will have different sheaths which are included and whatnot. The blade material is Nitro V, but you can get Magnacut or a CRV2 high carbon steel with the blasted finish going that you see right here going to the Nitro V and Magnacut. And when you buy the 80 CRV2 high carbon, you're going to be getting a forge finish, and that forge finish is usually on the primitive Wicket, which we'll get into in a moment. The handle materials are can be removed with these separate screws, and the version I have here is OD Green G10, but there's also other G10 colors and micarta. And you can, with the primitive Wicket, you get Hardened Jute Wrap, and instead of this plain flat drop point, you're going to be getting a Scandi grind. The overall length on the Wicket is 4.98 inches with a width right here on the handle scales at 0.4 inches, which means that compared to the PM2, it's decently thin. And then getting into some size comparisons with the Spyderco Paramilitary 2 and the Spyderco Delica 4, you can see it's quite a bit smaller. And then going to the Civivi Elementum and Benchmade Bug Out, you can see again it's quite a bit smaller. And then for some other size comparisons, we're going to look at two other EDC, small EDC fixed blades, the MKM Micro and the CRKT Minimalist Cleaver. Compared to the Minimalist, it's quite similar in size, and then the Micro is obviously even smaller, being really a 2 and maybe a half finger grip. Overall, the blade length on the Wicket is 2.13 with an edge of exactly the same length at 2.13 and a weight coming in at 1.98 ounces. And the blade stock on the Wicket is 0.1 inches, meaning that it's a little bit thicker than many other EDC folders that you're going to see. But that doesn't mean that you're going to have a super thin edge or a super thin stock or width behind the edge, I should say. It's actually quite the opposite. I don't have the tools built and properly measure it, but it definitely feels in when cutting, but also just by like kind of feeling it here, a lot thicker than something like the Bug Out, the Elementum, or even the PM2. But it also can really get to work with that. It means that when kind of your pinch grips or your standard grip, you're really able to cut through that material. And this was a really nice kind of utility style knife that could handle more than a utility knife can. So I was kind of throwing this in my back pocket with the sheath, and when I wanted to kind of get down and dirty and cut something that I was a little bit more hesitant to, this was what I was reaching for over anything else. So as a backup blade, I really enjoyed it. I did try carrying it a few days without a folder of any kind, but I don't really like doing that for a couple of reasons. One, I do kind of appreciate the fidgetness, even if it's not a super fidgety knife, of a folder. And also, I do prefer kind of bringing out a more slicey blade on on a majority of occasions. This was really just probably about 20% of the time I was reaching for this. I mean, even then, most of the times, this was really overkill, blade length-wise, so if you really wanted to, this could totally be your main ADC knife. There is actually also a Wicket XL, which has a 3-inch blade, and I don't own it, so I can't show you in comparison, but if the size is putting you off, there is that option as well. Ergonomically, even though the Wicket's really small, it's actually still really comfortable. You can get a pretty solid 3-inch grip on here, with a little bit of your pinky kind of coming on, if you kind of squish your fingers together. But to assist with that, I was throwing a lanyard on with a bead, which helped me get the knife out of the sheath and also just really improve the ergos on this knife. Overall, with that lanyard, it was very comfortable and really didn't have any complaints. I do want to talk about this blasted finish. It kind of feels like the CRKT or CRK finishes that you're going to have on like your Sebenza handles. It kind of has that general kind of feel, and it also has that same effect of rubbing and kind of snail trailing. So if you don't like that, this is not going to be a knife which you will like. I noticed that a lot of the time, even just pulling it out of my pocket, I would get like kind of huge snail trails and whatnot, which was, I think, is kind of cool, but if that's not your thing, you're not really gonna like it. And if you also have really, really big hands, I have an XL glove size, but I am not on the larger end of XL gloves, shall we say. I found it very easy, but if you're a double XL glove, I could actually definitely see this not being your favorite knife to have every moment. Overall, the Wicket has been my favorite of the tested EDC fixed blades and is definitely going to continue to be thrown in my pocket whenever I know I'm going to be doing something like gardening or cutting some wires or cutting rope, and I don't want to mess up or the folder that I'm going to be using, or I want something that's just a little bit thicker behind the edge. If you enjoyed this review, please consider liking and subscribing, and if you own the Wicket, please consider commenting down below what your thoughts of it are. Thanks.